Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom is celebrating 50 years of magic. And to celebrate, I thought I would make a video all about the origins and the beginnings of Walt Disney World. In 1959, Walt Disney found that in a market survey that only 5% of Disneyland visitors were east of the Mississippi River. Walt was like, wait, isn't like 70% of the country's population east of the Mississippi? And he began the first stages of what would become the Florida Project. Walt wanted to make urban life better for everyone in everywhere, basically. So he proposed an experimental prototype community of tomorrow, or what you might know as Epcot. He wanted to build a futuristic city where there would be people movers and different high-tech things for this community, specifically in his proposed location of Orlando. Now, Walt Disney hated the business that had sprawled around his beloved Disneyland Park in Anaheim, so he knew he wanted to get all of the land that he would ever need in Florida. After flying over Florida, he decided on the Orlando area in a large plot of land near a lake called Bay Lake. Soon after, Disney secretly bought 30,000 acres of land, secretly purchasing them as fake companies. In addition to his huge dreams for Epcot, he thought it would be a good idea to create another theme park in this area as well. Plans for the Florida project were put on hold, though. They were put on hold due to the 1964-1965 New York's World's Fair, which is greatly advanced audio animatronic technology, and he had many high-class attractions there, including the Carousel of Progress and It's a Small World. In 1965, Disney officially announced that they were working on a project in Florida. Planning continued for Florida, and Walt Disney again appeared on TV in October of 1966 to show off his plans for Epcot. But unfortunately, he never got to see his dream become a reality because he sadly died just a few months later due to lung cancer. Walt Disney thought, well, if he's building Epcot in Florida, he might as well build a theme park as well. After the death of Walt Disney, his older brother, Roy Disney, stepped up and decided to focus on getting the theme park open. Roy also decided to name it Walt Disney World in honor of his brother. One problem that Walt had experienced at Disneyland and he hated was that cast members would have to walk through different lands out of costume. So you might see a cowboy walking through Fantasyland or a astronaut walking through Fantasyland or something like that. So when building Walt Disney World, they made an underground tunnel system known as the Utilidors to handle everything from trash to costume changes. And the Utilidors are actually built on the first floor, and the park is built on top of the Utilidors. Basically, to put the whole park, they basically scooped up this huge area and filled it with water, which you might know as Seven Seas Lagoon. One land that is specific to Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World is Liberty Square. It was originally conceived as an offshoot to Main Street in Disneyland, both Edison Square and Liberty Street. Years later, when designing Disney World, they decided to replace New Orleans Square with Liberty Square, inspired by colonial America. Walt Disney, now he was one of the biggest patriots. Disneyland on opening day, it's basically just a huge sentiment to America. One reason for the removal of New Orleans Square might have been Disney's prediction that New Orleans was too close to Florida. In this new land, Disney would also have a more full and larger scale of great moments with Mr. Lincoln, including all the presidents, and they've been still updating it. It's called the Hall of Presidents. This land also includes a steamboat similar to the Mark Twain, which was originally called the Admiral Joe Fowler, which is now taking guests from the ticket and transportation system to the Magic Kingdom. And Finally, included in the land, the Haunted Mansion. This time, the exterior is a lot more New York colonial style architecture. The building that houses the Hall of Presidents is also supposed to resemble Independence Hall, which is where the Constitutional Convention took place. Since Walt Disney World has a lot more space than Disney, everything is bigger in Disney World. For instance, the hub at Disney World is able to fit almost little mini grass patches you can go sit on. Furthermore, Adventureland is much more open than Walt Disney World broke ground in April of 1969. It included almost all of the lands from Disneyland. One attraction that opened in 1969 as well was the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. The Haunted Mansion had already started work. The Haunted Mansion opened when they had already started work on Walt Disney World. And so they basically just made 2 of every animatronic so they'd be ready for Disney World. Now, I've talked about this before, but I think I should mention again. When planning and designing Disney World, instead of having their very own version of pirates, they decided that cowboys would be more entertaining to the East Coast guest. But it looks like that prediction was wrong, and fans were complaining on opening day when there was no pirates. So they listened and put an inferior version of Pirates missing many scenes, and like the bayou scene, it's missing a lot of the caves, and it is just way less drops, all of that thing. The Western River Expedition, which was canceled, was supposed to have a train ride kind of similar to Big Thunder, where the guests it would be a sort of pirates where the guests would witness things like a bank robbery and a lot more of action. A lot of the concept art was created for this attraction by the famous Mark Davis, who did most of the concept art for the characters for Pirates. Okay, I'm kind of getting off track again. But anyway, work continued on Walt Disney World, and some more new attractions were created, like the Country Bear Jamboree. And Roy Disney created his own municipality with the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Disney basically was running their own city. Disney World is the size of Manhattan, is basically what Walt Disney said. Disney World, when it first opened, also included 2 deluxe hotels, being the Polynesian Resort, which was supposed to be like sort of like Adventureland, a islander Polynesian vibe, and it was great, and it is still great. And then the Contemporary Resort, which is kind of almost Tomorrowland-y, and it includes many things from the famous artist Mary Blair, who did It's a Small World, Alice in Wonderland, Cinderella, lots of stuff for that. But anyway, this is the big moment. Walt Disney World officially opened October 1st, 1971, and it was amazing. But only around 10,000 people showed up. What they found was people were too worried about it being crowded, so they decided that they'd wait, and it ended up actually being very successful. It has spawned 3 more parks and many, many, many more resorts. Unfortunately, Roy had given up everything, all of his energy for Disney World, and tragically passed away December 20th, 1971, just 2 months after the opening of Walt Disney World. Now, we just quickly went through all of that. Now we're going to go into more detail about some of the differences and some of the best parts about Walt Disney World. So Adventureland is much, much more open. In Walt Disney World, it does not have as much foliage, which I could think is a disadvantage. I'm trying to focus on the positives here. Skipper Canteen, good. But I'm trying to focus also on stuff on opening day. Frontierland is a very good land that surrounds Rivers of America. It's kind of just like surrounds it, and then it goes into Liberty Square. Liberty Square, you mostly talked about. Fantasyland was originally very small at Magic Kingdom. It wasn't very small, but it was very small. And then expanded it, and now it is very large. And Tomorrowland is, I think, like, it is way better than Disneyland's Tomorrowland. It has a functioning people mover. It has a carousel of progress. It has actually cohesive theming. It has a bigger Space Mountain. I don't know about better. And all of those things. Now, Main Street there is much, much more big, much more grandiose in scale. It has much taller, everything's bigger. And when Walt Disney World opened, it was not really, let's say, it was mostly East Coast guests visiting it, or because back then plane travel was not as cheap. It was kind of deluxe thing, and you would have to drive a car, or in a lot of cases, and it was just only one park, so you wouldn't even you'd probably spend 2 or 3 days, depending on how you wanted to do it, to explore every inch, to explore everything. Now, Walt Disney World has spawned multiple new parks, as I said before, and so I just wanted to real quickly talk about what has come. We've talked a lot about the history and everything, so let's talk about some of the highlights of what's happened since then. Animal Kingdom is the most recent of the parks to open, so I thought I'd start there. It has an almost Adventureland atmosphere. It's more tropical, and it's one of the most immersive parks as a whole. And Avatar was a great addition. It focuses a lot on animals and conservation, which is really good. Has one of the best roller coasters, Expedition Everest. Then you have the second most recent, Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios opened in 1989, so around the same time that like Splash Mountain and all those things were coming in to like Disneyland and stuff. But Hollywood Studios, to me, nowadays does not have the same theme. The Great Movie Ride, it used to be very cohesive, it used to be all about seeing the movies. Now it's just like going into the movies. Tower of Terror, I love Tower of Terror. So now you have like new things like Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land opening over there. And as a park as a whole, the theming isn't great, but the individual areas and attractions are really good. Next, we have Epcot, which opened in 1982 and was supposed to be the original city. But they decided that was just too much. They couldn't control how people lived, basically. And so they decided to take Walt's imaginative concept and make a theme park based on that concept. It was all about the future in a whole area. It was all about the future. It was called Future World. And another area, which is World Showcase. And World Showcase was all about visiting countries around the world and doing all the stuff there. Future World has now broken up into all new neighborhoods: World Nature, World Celebration, and World Discovery. Now, I think this was a good choice for them to try to separate themselves from Future World, because over time, Future World has just not gone great. They have removed many attractions that were popular there, including Horizons and other attractions like that, and have added new, more controversial attractions, like they redid Journey into Imagination, which was very controversial. Mission Space is a ride that not everyone enjoys and gets very sick on. In recent times, they have announced newer things like the Guardians of the Galaxy ride that's going to be in the West, it's replacing Ellen's Energy Adventure, and they have also recently opened Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in Paris, which I think is perfect, and I love that. One thing I love about Walt Disney World is because they have so much space, they never really have to get rid of things. They do a lot of times, just because they want that area, but like they have room to expand. I heard once that they only have used 1/3 of their property so far, and so that is just insane to think all of Walt Disney World is only in 1/3 of their property. And thank you guys for watching. And if Walt Disney World is really just a celebration of Walt Disney and his everything he loved. He loved movies. He loved the future. He had Walt Magic Kingdom is just Disneyland redone, and of course Animal Kingdom was celebrating his love of animals and like other cultures and stuff. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you subscribed. I haven't uploaded in like 70 days before this, and I'm back making videos. I just was busy. I don't really have any excuses. I was just being lazy. So you can go say in the comments, like all caps, you can go say you didn't upload for 3 months, you're lazy. And I'm like, oh, I know. But thank you guys for watching, and if you're here at the title card, thanks for watching.